Mama Fola waited 2 full days before her chance came. A morning Tund left early for a board meeting and Ifeoma, uncharacteristically, slept late, leaving Mama Fola the rare task of tidying the study while both were away. Her hands moved quickly, methodically, the old instincts of a woman who once ran a household staff of 40 returning without effort. She dusted the shelves, straightened her late husband's ledgers, and there, caught beneath the leg of the desk as though kicked aside in haste, she found a torn corner of paper. Most of it was unreadable, a fragment of something larger. But one line remained intact, scrawled in Ifeoma's elegant, slanted-hand gold crest, confirmed before Friday. Mama Fola frowned. The name meant nothing at first, and then slowly, uncomfortably, it did. Gold crest. She had heard the name once years ago, murmured in hushed, embarrassed tones at an Ikoyi business dinner, a company that collapsed under circumstances the papers called irregular, its assets vanishing days before a merger was set to close, its investors left holding nothing but lawsuits and silence. Chief Ademi had once warned a colleague away from a woman connected to that wreckage, a woman whose name, infuriatingly, Mama Fola could no longer recall. Her hands began to tremble, not from age but from cold certainty settling over her. This was no coincidence. The word merger, the clipped phone calls. I have done this before. She folded the torn scrap carefully, tucked it into the waist of her wrapper, and glanced once toward the study door to be sure she was still alone. Whatever Ifeoma Chukwu was planning was bigger and far more dangerous than cruelty toward household staff. It was aimed, Mama Fola now understood with a mother's rising dread, directly at Tund. 3 days later, Mama Fola found herself trimming dead bougainvillea near the pool house, a task Madame Comfort assigned with the indifference reserved for the lowest-ranking staff, when Ifeoma's voice carried across the hedges. She was on the phone again, packing near the koi pond, wrapped in silk despite the humidity, her voice pitched low but carrying clearly. Once the merger closes, it won't matter what he thinks, Ifeoma was saying, each word clipped, businesslike, utterly unlike the honeyed warmth she performed for guests. By the time anyone realizes, the assets will already be restructured. He will be too busy mourning the company to ask the right questions. Mama Fola's shears froze mid-cut. Too busy mourning the company, not the marriage, the company. I know the timeline is tight, Ifeoma continued, irritation sharpening her tone. That is exactly why the wedding must happen on schedule. Once we are married, transfer of authority becomes so much simpler. Trust me, I have built fortunes out of grieving men who could not see past their own hearts. Mama Fola's stomach turned to ice. She kept her head down, hands moving mechanically, every muscle screaming to run, and yet rooted still, desperate not to miss a word. Ifeoma laughed suddenly, bright, cold, genuine, in a way that chilled Mama Fola more than anything else over her. Do not worry about the mother, old woman who prays and cries over her husband's picture. She will not be a problem. Words landed like a slap. Old woman. Equal parts fury and grim, satisfied amusement, because if Ifeoma truly believed that, she had no idea how wrong she was. A dry twig snapped beneath Mama Fola's shifting weight. Ifeoma's head turned sharply toward the sound. Their eyes met across the garden, Ifeoma's narrowing with sudden suspicion, Mama Fola's carefully, desperately blank, the mask of Nkechi sliding back into place just in time. Just the new help, Mama Fola said quickly, gesturing to the shears. Trimming the flowers. Ifeoma stared a beat too long before finally turning away, murmuring a hurried goodbye into the phone, but Mama Fola had seen it. The flicker of calculation behind Ifeoma's eyes, she had been seen. And now she suspected she was being watched in return. The shift was subtle at first, the kind only someone trained as Mama Fola was to read a room could detect. Ifeoma began assigning her tasks that kept her far from the family wing. Laundry in the basement store, silver polishing in a windowless pantry, deliveries to the far edge of the compound. Small, deliberate exiles disguised as ordinary chores. Keep that one busy, Mama Fola overheard Ifeoma instruct Madame Comfort one afternoon, voice pitched just low enough to seem casual. Far from the family rooms, if you don't mind. Madame Comfort, oblivious to any deeper meaning, simply nodded and passed the instruction along. 2 days later, Ifeoma found her alone in the linen store and lingered in the doorway, arms crossed, studying her with an expression mixing curiosity and something colder beneath it. You know, Ifeoma said almost playfully, you remind me of somebody in Nkechi, I just cannot place who. Mama Fola kept folding towels, hands steady through sheer will. I have that kind of face, Ma, people say so often. Ifeoma tilted her head, studying her longer. Where did you work before this house? A private family in Abuja. They relocated abroad. How convenient. Ifeoma's smile did not reach her eyes. I do love a clean work history, so few loose threads to pull. She left without another word, the threat unmistakable in the air behind her. Mama Fola waited until certain Ifeoma was gone before allowing her hands to finally shake. A clean work history? Too specific, too pointed to be casual talk. Ifeoma was checking, testing, circling closer to whatever she sensed hiding beneath Nkechi's quiet, unremarkable presence. Mama Fola thought of Baba Rodami's warning, once this thing begins, you cannot simply drop it, and understood with sudden clarity exactly how right he had been. Baba Rodami found Mama Fola in the small staff sitting room 2 nights later, ostensibly delivering fresh linen but really seeking the one person in the house who knew her true name. "We must talk," he said quietly, setting the linen down with deliberate slowness, waiting until the last of the other staff drifted from the room. Privately, once alone, his composed steward's face cracked into something closer to genuine fear. "Madam, I have reason to believe Madam Ifeoma ran a background check on you." Mama Fola's chest tightened. "How do you know?" "A contact at the agency. Madam Ifeoma requested full verification on Nkechi 3 days ago." He paused. "The records came back clean. Suspiciously clean, which for a name with no true history behind it should be nearly impossible to manufacture so seamlessly. You built the papers well then, well enough to pass a glance, not well enough to survive someone who knows exactly what to look for. And madam, a woman capable of the fraud you suspect would absolutely know what to look for. Empty records do not happen by accident." Mama Fola absorbed this in silence, the torn scrap from the study gold crest confirmed before Friday burning in her memory like a coal she could not set down. "And we have less time than I thought," she said finally. "Madam, please consider ending this now. Take whatever you have learned to Oga Tund directly." "Tund will not believe a word of it from his own mother," Mama Fola said, sharper than she intended. "Not without proof, not against a woman he believes saved him from grief. I need the truth complete in my hand, Baba, or I hand him nothing but heartbreak on heartbreak." Baba Rodami studied her a long moment, and whatever protest remained folded beneath her certainty. "Then let me help properly," he said. "Start with a name, Goldcrest Holdings. And find out what truly happened to a girl called Ronk, who used to work in this house." The morning began wrong, and Mama Fola knew it before anyone told her. Amara's shift started at 6. By 7 her station sat untouched, no yam peeled, no stove lit, none of the quiet diligence that had marked every morning of her 8 months in that house. "Anybody see Amara?" Mama Fola asked a younger kitchen girl, keeping her voice light. The girl shook her head, eyes darting nervously toward the doorway, dropping her voice. Her room dawn empty, all her things gone. "Nobody tell us anything, she just gone this morning." Mama Fola's blood ran cold. She found Madam Comfort in the hallway and asked, as neutrally as she could manage, what had happened. "My business and not yours," Madam Comfort said curtly, though something in her rigid posture suggested she too had questions she dared not ask. "Madam Ifeoma handled him herself, that's all I know. Madam Ifeoma handled it herself." Mama Fola's mind raced back to the garden. "Do not worry about the mother, she will not be a problem," and Amara's warning weeks earlier never finished. "She get the last girl sacked for nothing. Ronk, now 2 names, Ronk, Amara." That night a quiet, older maid named Blessing caught Mama Fola alone in the corridor and pressed a folded scrap of paper into her hand without a word. "She saw something," Blessing whispered, glancing over her shoulder. "Amara. She saw something she should not have in the study 1 week ago. Madam Ifeoma found out, paid her, told her to leave quiet or her family for village go suffer." Blessing vanished down the corridor before Mama Fola could ask more, leaving her alone, heart pounding, the scrap of paper trembling in her hand. Whatever Amara had witnessed, it was dangerous enough to make her disappear overnight. Mama Fola was more certain than ever. She needed to find that girl before it was too late. Mama Fola broke her own rule that night. She slipped out after midnight, found the old landline in the generator house corridor, and dialed a number unused for over a decade. Chief Femi Bassi, a discreet man her husband had once trusted with matters too delicate for lawyers. "Madam Ademi," Chief Bassi said, startled by the late hour. "Idanteo, I need your help, Chief," quietly, off any book. She explained as much as she dared. The young household girl Amara, dismissed suddenly, family depending on her income, last seen leaving Tundademi's estate under circumstances she believed were forced rather than chosen. "Go need her surname," Chief Bassi said. "And anything else you fit give me." Mama Fola provided what little she had: description, dismissal date, and the name Foma Chukwu, spoken carefully in the empty corridor, watching to be sure no one overheard. "Go start tonight," Chief Bassi said. "Give me 2 days." The 2 days stretched into the longest of Mama Fola's life. She moved through her duties in a fog, hands aching from more than simple labor, watching Ifeoma move through the house with renewed, unbearable suspicion in every glance cast her way. On the second night, the landline rang precisely at midnight. "Find her," Chief Bassi said without preamble. "She day alive, staying for one guest house for Sango, rent don pay till end of month. She day fear well, but she day alive." Relief flooded through Mama Fola so powerfully her knees nearly buckled. "There's one more thing," Chief Bassi continued, voice dropping into the careful tone she remembered from decades of difficult negotiations. "She talked to me not plenty, she day fear too much, but enough. Madam, you need to see this yourself. E big pass one house girl way lose work, e big well. For phone," Chief Bassi said. "Come the address way I go send you. Tomorrow if you fit manage AM, she want talk to you and only you." Mama Fola arranged a rare afternoon off, a story about a hospital appointment that Madam Comfort accepted without much scrutiny, and made her way, disguise fully intact, to a modest guest house off a quiet Sango Ata side street. Amara opened the door only after confirming her identity through the chain gap, and the moment it swung fully open, the young woman collapsed into her arms, sobbing with the particular exhaustion of someone who had been holding herself together alone. "I'm sorry," Amara kept saying. "I sorry well, I know no what and else to do." "You have nothing to be sorry for," Mama Fola said, guiding her gently to sit. "Tell me what happened." Between shaking breaths, Amara explained. A week before her dismissal, She'd been sent to deliver towels to the study late one evening, and walked in on Ifeoma mid-conversation with a man Amara did not recognize, tall, sharp-featured, unmistakably comfortable with the house despite Amara never having seen him there before. "Madam, Ifeoma vex well that I walk in," Amara said. "But he no be just anger, na fear, real fear, like say I catch her doing something she no fit undo." You hear what they discuss. Amara nodded slowly. "Something about signatures, papers way must ready before the wedding, and the man, Madam Ifeoma call him by name once before she noticed me for door." "Name?" Amara hesitated, as though saying it aloud might summon danger back into the room. "Emeka, she call him Emeka," Mama Fola's breath caught. Tund had a half-brother, a son from Chief Ademi's brief first marriage decades before Fola herself had entered his life, a boy named Emeka cut off from the family entirely after a bitter falling out with his father years before his death. Tund rarely spoke of him. The estrangement ran deep enough that Mama Fola had not seen or heard from Emeka in nearly 15 years. "He's supposed to be estranged," Mama Fola murmured, almost to herself. "Cut off completely. Why would Ifeoma be meeting him in secret?" Amara reached into her bag with trembling hands and produced a small, sealed envelope. "I take this before I run. I know exactly what me mean, but I know say matter. I too day fear to open 'em myself." Mama Fola took the envelope carefully, pulse hammering, and understood with the sudden cold clarity of a puzzle finally shifting into shape, that whatever waited inside would change everything. 2 days after her visit to Amara, Mama Fola returned to the mansion to find the entire household transformed by frantic preparation. The engagement OM, Madam Comfort announced to the assembled staff, clipboard in hand, voice sharp with the stress of a woman responsible for flawless execution. 3 days' time. Oga Tund Wan nothing less than perfect. Mama Fola's mind raced immediately to the overheard phone call in the garden. The wedding must happen on schedule. Once we are married, transfer of authority becomes so much simpler, and understood with mounting dread that the OM was not simply a celebration. It was a deadline, a trigger point in whatever scheme Ifeoma had quietly constructed for weeks. She spent the following days moving through her duties with double vigilance, the guest list heavy with board members and investors rather than personal friends, lawyers appearing suddenly for hushed meetings behind closed doors, a phrase overheard twice now in passing, the merger announcement. Whatever Ifeoma intended, she planned to make it public, irreversible. At the exact moment Tund would be least equipped to question it, surrounded by champagne, a so ebi, and the glow of his own happiness. That evening, exhausted from a day of relentless preparation, Mama Fola found Baba Rodemi waiting in the small staff sitting room, an envelope in his hand. "This one came for you," he said, sliding it across the table with visible unease. "Addressed to Nkechi, no return name." Mama Fola frowned, turning the plain envelope over. "Nobody sends post to housegirl Baba Rodemi." "Exactly what I thought," he said grimly. "I know like this, somebody knows more about you than they should." Her fingers trembled slightly as she broke the seal, unfolded the single sheet inside, and felt the floor seem to tilt beneath her. It was not a threat. It was help, anonymous, careful, urgent, and it confirmed everything she had begun to fear and more. The letter carried no signature, only a single photograph and a handful of typed lines, clearly composed by someone determined to remain hidden even while offering help. The photograph showed a much younger Ifeoma standing beside a man Mama Fola now recognized instantly from Amara's description, sharp-featured, unmistakably Ademi in the line of his jaw. Emeka, Tund's estranged half-brother. They stood together outside a corporate building in Victoria Island, a company sign visible behind them, Goldcrest Holdings. Mama Fola's hands shook as she read the typed message beneath the photograph. She has done this before. Ask about Goldcrest Holdings. Ifeoma and Emeka were partners, business and otherwise, 3 years ago before the company collapsed under fraud allegations never fully proven. Investors lost everything. The assets vanished. So did Ifeoma under a different name, before resurfacing 18 months later as someone entirely new. Emeka disappeared from public life shortly after. Until now, Mama Fola sat frozen, the pieces of the puzzle rearranging themselves into shape far more calculated and dangerous than she had imagined. Ifeoma was not simply a woman chasing a grieving man's fortune. She was a practiced architect of ruins, someone who had done this before, engineered it before, vanished with the wreckage before. And Emeka, cut off from the Ademi family, presumably bitter after over a decade of resentment, was not a stranger reappearing by coincidence. He was her partner. Again, together they intended to use the wedding, the merger, Tund's grief-softened trust, to dismantle everything Chief Ademi had spent a lifetime building, and vanish with the pieces before anyone understood what had happened. Mama Fola pressed the photograph to her chest, breathing hard, fury and fear tangling in her chest. She thought of Tund's face the day she arrived, hopeful, grateful, blind. She thought of the OM 3 days away where Ifeoma intended to make this scheme irreversible in front of the entire world. There was no more time for careful patience. She needed a plan, and she needed it now. Mama Fola spent the following night awake at the small desk in her boys' quarters room, Working by lamplight with the same relentless focus, she once brought to closing shipping contracts worth more than most people's lifetime earnings. She had Chief Bassi pull everything available on Goldcrest Holdings, court filings, abandoned lawsuits, a handful of financial journalism pieces that had covered the collapse before quietly fatting from public interest. The pattern that emerged chilled her more with every page. Ifeoma, under a previous name, Ifeoma Nwachukwu, close enough to be careless, distant enough to survive a cursory background check, had married into a mid-sized manufacturing family 4 years ago. Within 18 months, she had engineered a merger consolidating control of the company's assets under a shell corporation linked, however carefully obscured, to Emeka. Weeks after the merger closed, both the assets and the couple had vanished, leaving investors and a devastated husband holding nothing but debt and unanswered questions. The husband, Mama Fola learned with a fresh chill, had died less than a year later officially of a heart attack, though the timing struck her as one more thread she lacked the resources to fully pull. The pattern was unmistakable: grieving man, rapid courtship, marriage timed precisely against a business transition. A merger engineered to consolidate control, and then vanishing, wreckage, silence. Tun's company was not a random target. It was the next in a carefully practiced cycle, and the OMP 2 days away now was not a celebration, it was the trigger. Mama Fola sat back from the desk as the full shape of the plan crystallized. Ifeoma intended to announce the merger publicly at the OMP, using the momentum of the engagement celebration and Tun's trust to push through changes to corporate authority before anyone thought to question the timing. By the time suspicion could catch up, the assets would already be moving. The wedding would provide legal cover, and Tun, like the husband before him, would be left holding nothing but wreckage and grief. Mama Fola pressed her palms flat against the desk, steadying herself against the fury and fear rolling through her chest. She would not let this happen to her son, not while she still had breath to stop it. She reached for the phone and dialed Chief Bassi one final time. "Need you to find Emeka Ademi," she said. "And I need to speak with him myself before the OM. Whatever leverage he holds over Ifeoma, resentment, guilt, fear, I intend to use it." The day before the OM, Mama Fola made a decision Baba Rodemi would later call the most dangerous of the entire plan. She cornered Ifeoma alone. It happened almost by accident, Mama Fola delivering fresh linen to the private suite Ifeoma used to prepare, finding her alone amid a sea of garment bags and half-unpacked jewelry boxes. For a moment, Mama Fola considered retreating quietly. Instead, some old, stubborn instinct, the same one that had once negotiated cargo contracts across a table from men who underestimated her, pushed her forward. Mama Fola said carefully, setting the linen down. "May I ask you something?" Ifeoma glanced up, faintly amused by the presumption. "That depends entirely on the question." "Goldcrest Holdings," Mama Fola said quietly. The effect was immediate and unmistakable. Ifeoma's face, always so carefully arranged, so effortlessly performed, went utterly still. "What did you say?" "I think you heard me well." Ifeoma crossed the room in 3 sharp strides, closing the distance between them with an intensity that made Mama Fola's pulse spike despite every year of composure built into her disguise. Up close, without the practiced warmth she wore for company, Ifeoma's eyes were flat, calculating, entirely without the softness she performed so beautifully for Tun. "Who are you?" Ifeoma said, low and dangerous. "Really? Just the house help," Mama Fola said, holding perfectly still. "No house help asks about a company that collapsed 3 years ago." Ifeoma's hand shot out, gripping her wrist with surprising strength. "Whoever sent you, whatever you think you know, I promise you have no idea what you are interfering with. Perhaps I know more than you think." Ifeoma's grip tightened, voice dropping to something almost feral beneath the silk. "Say one word of this to Tund, and you will disappear the way that girl did. You understand me? I have resources you cannot begin to imagine, and patience for none of this." She released Mama Fola's wrist with a shove, straightening her dress as though nothing had happened, the mask sliding smoothly back into place. "OMB is tomorrow," Ifeoma said, voice suddenly bright and pleasant, as though the threat had never left her lips. "I expect this house running perfectly. You understand?" "Yes, Mama Fola said, backing toward the door on trembling legs. She made it to the corridor before her composure finally broke, leaning hard against the wall, heart pounding, wrist throbbing where Ifeoma's grip had left faint marks. She had her confirmation now, undeniable and chilling. Tomorrow everything would come to a head one way or another. The night of the OM arrived wrapped in more grandeur than Mama Fola had seen even in her own years hosting events in this family. The grand hall glittered under crystal chandeliers, a live band playing softly near open doors leading to the pool terrace, hundreds of guests in vibrant Aso Ebi moving through the space like a river of color and gold. Waitstaff Mama Fola among them, invisible in her plain uniform, weaving trays of chilled zobo and champagne through the crowd, moved with practiced efficiency around a celebration that felt, to everyone watching, like nothing more than a joyous engagement. Mama Fola spotted Tun near the center of the room, radiant with a happiness she had not seen on his face in over 2 years, his hand resting protectively at Ifeoma's back as she laughed brightly with a cluster of admiring guests. Mama Fola's heart broke and steeled itself in the same moment. She had spent the afternoon in careful, silent coordination, A final call to Chief Bassi confirming Emeka Ademi had agreed, after hours of difficult persuasion, to appear tonight and speak the truth publicly. Quiet arrangements made with the estate's private security, brief just enough to understand they might be needed before the evening's end. A final, careful conversation with Baba Rotimi, whose composed face betrayed nothing of the tension coiled beneath it. Everything was in place. At precisely 9 o'clock, the band fell silent, and Tun's voice rose warmly over a microphone, thanking the assembled guests for celebrating this new chapter of his life. Ifeoma stood beside him, glowing, radiant, utterly convincing in her performance of a woman deeply, genuinely in love. And now, Tund announced, I understand my fiancé has a small business announcement before we return properly to celebrating. A ripple of polite, curious applause moved through the crowd as Ifeoma stepped gracefully toward the podium, papers already in hand, a lawyer hovering discreetly nearby. Mama Fola's grip tightened around the tray in her hands. This was it. Ifeoma smiled out at the glittering crowd, opened her mouth to speak, and the grand hall doors swung open behind her. Murmur rippled through the crowd as a man none of them recognized strode into the hall, uninvited, his expression set with the grim determination of someone who had crossed a great distance, physically and otherwise, to arrive at exactly this moment. Ifeoma's carefully composed smile faltered the instant she saw him. Emeka, she breathed, barely audible, color draining from her face. Tund turned, confusion evident, searching for recognition in a face he had not seen in over a decade. Who, before you sign anything, Tund, Emeka called out, voice carrying clearly across the stunned silence of the hall. Ask her about Goldcrest. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ifeoma's lawyer took an instinctive step backward. Tund's face shifted rapidly from confusion to dawning horrified suspicion as he looked between his fiancée and the half-brother he had been estranged from for 15 years. What is he talking about? Tund asked Ifeoma, voice tight. He is clearly disturbed. Ifeoma said quickly, forcing her smile back into place, though it trembled now at the edges. Tund, darling, I have no idea. Don't, Emeka said, crossing the room with the same grim determination that had carried him through the door. Don't lie to him too, Ifeoma. Not tonight. I am done covering for you. All had fallen into stunned, electric silence, hundreds of guests frozen mid-conversation, glasses suspended halfway to lips, every eye fixed on the unfolding scene. Mama Fola, still in her staff uniform near the edge of the room, felt her pulse hammering as the moment she had engineered finally, irreversibly began to unfold. Emeka and I are business partners, Ifeoma said, forcing steadiness into her voice, though her eyes darted anxiously across the crowd. That is all this is, a business dispute badly timed. We were partners, Emeka said, in Goldcrest Holdings, before it collapsed and took every investor's money with it. Before you disappeared and left me to answer for what we both did, I let you go once, Ifeoma. I will not let you do it again, not to my own family. Tund's face had gone ashen, the joy of moments before collapsed entirely into something raw and stricken. He turned slowly toward Ifeoma, searching her face for a denial she no longer seemed able to offer. Ifeoma, he said, voice barely above a whisper, tell me he is lying. Ifeoma opened her mouth and said nothing at all. The silence stretched unbearably until, from the edge of the hall, a quiet, unremarkable maid began walking calmly toward the center of the room. A few guests glanced curiously at the woman in the plain uniform crossing the marble floor with unexpected purpose, but most attention remained fixed on the drama already unfolding between Tund, Ifeoma, and the stranger who had appended the celebration. There is more, Mama Fola said, her voice carrying with a clarity and authority entirely unsuited to her uniform, that you should hear. Tund turned, startled to see the new maid, Nkechi, standing calmly amid the wreckage of his engagement celebration, papers in hand. Nkechi, he said, confusion evident. What are you? 3 years ago, Mama Fola continued, unfolding the documents Chief Bassi had compiled. Ifeoma Chukwu, then known as Ifeoma Nwachukwu, married a man named Chief Okonkwo Ez, owner of Ez Industrial Manufacturing. Within 18 months, she engineered a merger consolidating control of his company's assets under a shell corporation connected to the man standing in this room. Weeks after the merger closed, both the assets and Ifeoma vanished. Chief Ez died less than a year later, his company in ruins, his investors devastated. Gasps rippled anew through the stunned crowd. Ifeoma's face had gone rigid, fury and panic warring visibly beneath her frozen composure. This is nonsense, Ifeoma said, though her voice had lost its earlier confidence. Fabricated. I do not know where you are getting this. I have the court filings, Mama Fola continued unmoved, the financial records and a photograph of you and Emeka together at Goldcrest's offices 3 years before tonight. I also have a signed statement from a young woman named Amara, formerly employed in this household, describing a private meeting she witnessed between the two of you regarding documents that needed finalizing before this wedding. Tund's face had gone entirely ashen, his eyes moving rapidly between Ifeoma's stricken expression and the calm, unwavering woman he still believed was nothing more than a housemaid. Nkechi, Tund said, voice shaking. How could you possibly know all of this? Mama Fola met her son's eyes, really met them for the first time in weeks, and felt the last threads of her disguise begin deliberately to unravel. Because Tund, she said softly, reaching up toward the plain scarf and low-cut wig pinned carefully over her own silver hair. I have been watching this house far more closely than anyone realized. The scarf and wig came away first, revealing the soft silver-gray hair beneath, and then with slow, deliberate movements, Mama Fola straightened from the humble stoop she had practiced for weeks into the poised, commanding posture that had run boardrooms and charity galas for 4 decades. The transformation rippled visibly through the crowd, recognition dawning first on the faces of older guests who had known her for years, then spreading in startled whispers through the entire hall. "Mummy," Tund's voice cracked on the single word, disbelief and shock and dawning horror crashing over his features all at once as he stared at the woman he had spoken to nearly every day for weeks without once recognizing her. "I'm so sorry, my son," Mama Fola said, her carefully practiced maid's voice giving way entirely to her own warm, steady, achingly maternal. "I never wanted to deceive you. I only wanted to protect you, and I did not know any other way to see the truth clearly." Ifeoma, still frozen near the podium, seemed to finally grasp the full scale of what had just unfolded, not merely exposed by a bitter former partner, but outmaneuvered for weeks by the very woman she had dismissed so confidently as harmless. "You," Ifeoma said, voice trembling with fury and disbelief. "You were hurt this whole time, Mama Fola confirmed calmly. "I watched exactly how you treated the people you believed could do nothing for you. And it told me everything I needed to know." Ifeoma's composure shattered entirely. She turned sharply, gathering her lace, moving fast toward the nearest exit in a desperate bid to flee the wreckage of her exposed scheme, only to find the hall's side doors already occupied by quiet, watchful security, arranged by Mama Fola days in advance with exactly this possibility in mind. "I'm afraid," Baba Rodemi said, stepping forward with the calm, unshakable dignity of 30 years' service, "that will not be possible, Madam Chukwu." Tund stood frozen amid the wreckage of his engagement, staring at his mother with an expression that mixed heartbreak, betrayal, and overwhelming gratitude all at once. Mama Fola crossed the remaining distance and took his hands in hers, her own hands, unadorned by any disguise, trembling now with the full weight of everything she had carried alone for weeks. "I know you are angry," she said softly. "I know I should have found another way, but I could not watch you walk into ruin without doing everything in my power to stop it." Tund's composure finally broke entirely, and he pulled his mother into an embrace in front of the stunned, silent hall, grief and relief and love tangling together in a single, overwhelming moment neither of them had expected to share tonight. In the weeks that followed, the wreckage of that night settled into something resembling peace. Ifeoma Chukwu, whose true legal name, records eventually confirmed, was Ifeoma Nwachukwu Ez, widow of the late Chief Okonkwo Ez, was arrested on fraud charges connected to both Goldcrest Holdings and the elaborate scheme she had nearly completed against the Ademi family. Emeka, cooperating fully with investigators in exchange for leniency regarding his own past involvement, quietly began the long, uncertain process of rebuilding a relationship with the family he had been estranged from for 15 years, starting, tentatively, with Tund. Amara returned to the household within days, this time not as a maid living in fear, but as a valued employee under Mama Fola's direct protection, with a scholarship fund established in her name to finally pursue the nursing degree she had dreamed of for years in Enugu. Tund took longer to heal. He and his mother spent long evenings together in the study that had once hidden Ifeoma's secrets, rebuilding the trust that had frayed under weeks of unknowing deception, slowly, gently finding their way back to each other. "I keep thinking," Tund said one evening, months later, sitting beside his mother on the veranda bench where her plan had first taken shape, "about how close I came to losing everything Papa built. And I never would have known if you had not. If I had not become someone else entirely for a while," Mama Fola finished gently, "to see the truth no one else could show you." Tund took her hand, the same hand that had once carried trays and scrubbed floors under a stranger's name, and held it with a gratitude too large for words. Mama Fola thought often in the months that followed of the lesson her own mother had taught her decades ago. In a Mushin life so different from this one, it sometimes felt borrowed from someone else entirely. You will know everything about a person by watching how she treats someone who can do nothing for her. It was true of Ifeoma, whose cruelty toward the household staff had ultimately unraveled everything she had built. And it was true, Mama Fola realized, of kindness too, of Amara's quiet loyalty, of Baba Rodemi's steadfast devotion, of a mother's willingness to become invisible, to scrub floors and swallow humiliation and carry secrets alone, simply because she loved her son enough to protect him even when he could not yet see the danger himself. Kindness, quietly given, always finds its way home. If you believe that too, if you found yourself hopping right alongside Mama Fola, that goodness would win in the end, we would love to hear where in the story you first sensed Ifeoma's mask beginning to slip. Share your moment in the comments below.